Chemistry practical procedure, preparing and purifying a simple compound. Copper sulfate crystals. Introduction. Copper sulfate crystals are a simple compound that can be prepared and purified in a laboratory setting. This experiment is a good way to learn about the basic principles of chemistry, such as chemical reactions, crystallization, and filtration. Materials. Copper oxide cool powder. Sulfuric acid H2SO4 solution 0.5 Beaker. Stirring rod. Heat source. Evaporating dish. Filter paper. Funnel. Ring stand. Wire gauze. Clay triangle. Ice bath. Desiccator. Procedure. Weigh out 10 grams of copper oxide powder and add it to a beaker. Add 20 milliliters of sulfuric acid solution to the beaker and stir until the copper oxide powder is dissolved. Heat the beaker on a heat source until the solution boils. Reduce the heat and allow the solution to simmer for 30 minutes. Remove the beaker from the heat source and allow it to cool to room temperature. Pour the solution into an evaporating dish. Place the evaporating dish on a wire gauze supported by a ring stand. Place a clay triangle under the wire gauze. Heat the evaporating dish on a heat source until the solution is almost completely evaporated. Allow the evaporating dish to cool to room temperature. Add a small amount of ice water to the evaporating dish. Stir the solution until copper sulfate crystals form. Filter the solution through filter paper using a funnel. Wash the copper sulfate crystals with ice water. Allow the copper sulfate crystals to dry in a desiccator. Results. The result of this experiment is a sample of pure copper sulfate crystals. Safety precautions. Wear safety goggles when working with chemicals. Be careful when handling hot liquids. Dispose of all waste chemicals properly. Tips. If the copper sulfate crystals do not form immediately, you can try cooling the solution in an ice bath. If the copper sulfate crystals are not pure, you can recrystallize them by dissolving them in a small amount of hot water, and then, following the steps above, to crystallize them again. Applications. Copper sulfate crystals have a variety of applications, including water treatment, fungicides, electroplating, chemical synthesis, extension activities. Investigate the effect of different crystallization conditions on the size and purity of the copper sulfate crystals. Investigate the different properties of copper sulfate crystals, such as solubility, melting point, and boiling point. Design and carry out your own experiment to investigate a factor that you think might affect the preparation or purification of copper sulfate crystals. Teacher's notes. This experiment is a good way to teach students about the basic principles of chemistry, such as chemical reactions, crystallization, and filtration. It is important to emphasize to students the importance of safety when working with chemicals. This experiment can be modified to suit the needs of different students and classrooms.